Shalom. Apostle Star coming back at you with the truth, giving all praise to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakah Kwadash. And I'm going to entitle this video, Christopher Columbus, Just Another Devil in Esau's History. Anyway, this is the article. Actually, what I did was, is a video. This is from a GRE Clips, which GRE stands for Joe Rogan Experience. And he had conducted an interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson, entitled Neil deGrasse Tyson, How Christopher Columbus Was a Dick, Joe Rogan. So I listened to about 5 minutes in, a little bit more than 5 minutes in. And basically he tells a story that I'm going to read the article on about how Cristobal Colon, or Christopher, better known as Christopher Columbus, on his fourth journey to the Americas, he had to deceive the tribes over there and to them helping them with food, because his ships are getting broken up and leaking because of worms. And in order to feed his crew, you know, he had to rely on these tribes here, the Israelite tribes, and basically they couldn't help him because they only grow enough to live on for until the crop is done. In other words, they don't store anything, and that's what they did at that time. So he had to lie to them and tell them that his God was angry and that he was going to turn the moon off. And at first they didn't believe him, and then when it actually happened, they believed him and they wound up helping him, which is part of the plans of the Most High anyway, because Esau's job was to come over here to establish America, so that eventually it can be destroyed ultimately. And this was the place that was, I'm talking about the Americas, that all the tribes would come to. And that's spoken of in, or written about in the Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. You can start from the 40th verse. Anyway, I'm going to go into the, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into the scriptures first. And then I'll read parts of the article. Anyway, this is Revelation 20, verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And that bottomless pit represents Europe. And he laid hold on a dragon. Now, if you're a Christian, you're picturing an actual dragon or a demon. Well, this dragon represents a certain segment of these Edomites. And they make a reference to the dragon in Revelation 12, how the dragon uses its tail to pull down a third part of the stars of heaven, and the stars of heaven represent the Israelites, because you had 3 tribes that were in Jerusalem at that time, and it was through the Romans, really through Herod, because the Romans backed them up militarily, they worked together, and it was the Romans that set up this devil, Herod the Great, and they set him up to be king of the Jews. Anyway, yeah, man, it's obvious. When you understand these scriptures, you can clearly see that this man, these Edomites are in fact the devil, a race of devils. It says, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent. He's also known as a serpent, which is the devil and Satan. So you got these Christians saying that we're going off because we're calling the white man a devil, we're calling him Satan, we're calling him a serpent, we're calling him a dragon. Well, I'm reading about it right now. If you understood prophecy, which Vocab Malone and Dr. James White the Edomite, they'll never do a video, or they haven't did a video on prophecy going into the book of Revelation. The only thing that this clown, Dr. James White the Edomite, would say is, it's pronounced Revelation, not Revelations. That's about all he knows about the book of Revelation. He would never go in there and break down any of these books. And neither will Vocab, because they like I've been saying from the beginning, that these people, they don't understand, and they don't know prophecy. That's why they'll never do a video on what the mark of the beast is, or what does Gog and Magog represent, or the War of Armageddon, or the trumpets found in the book of Revelation. Or they would never go into the book of Daniel the 2nd chapter, or Daniel the 7th chapter, or Ezekiel the 28th chapter, Isaiah, Jeremiah chapter 50, Jeremiah chapter 49, Jeremiah chapter 51, Isaiah 13, Isaiah 14, Isaiah 34, or the 34th chapter. They would never do a video on any of these chapters because they don't know how to break them down, those particular books or chapters. Anyway, it says, Revelation 20 verse 2, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, and then we're going to find out that Christopher Columbus and his crew were part of that dragon, or a bunch of devils that came over here and deceived the Israelites. It says, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. And that represents during the time when Constantine the First, or Constantine the Great, came into power. They overcame them Edomites and pretty much enslaved them. Just like Esau does to us now, we were doing to them back then. It says, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loose a little season. So we're in the time period of the end of the little season. It said after 1,000 years. So when he was locked down, that was during the time of Constantine, when he sat up on the throne. That was 325 A.D. Now, when did the devil start taking over the world? He started in Europe. He took down the Moors. He took down the so-called Byzantine Empire, and that started pretty much around the mid 1300s. And when they actually went to the New World, on your dollar bill it says Novus Ordo Seclorum. So The birth of the New World Order started with Columbus when he came over here to the New World, as they call it. It says, third verse, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loose a little season. So when he was loosed after 1,000-year period, what did he go back doing? Deceiving the people. Now, I looked up the word deceive. And the word in the Greek is platnao. And I'm going to look up the root of that word. That I'm going to go to the etymon, or the etymology of that word. But let me read this first. Platnao means to cause to stray, to lead astray, lead aside from the right way. And that's what this devil did. To go astray, wander, roam about, metaphorically, to lead away from the truth, to lead, and that's what this devil did. Because what did Christopher Columbus and these devils ultimately bring to the world? They brought their religion, their Renaissance Christianity, and the Renaissance period started in Europe, where they took down, where they destroyed or defaced the dark images of the saints and put up images of themselves. And that picture Caesar goes back to, or the picture of the so-called Christ goes back to Cesare Borgia. To lead away from the truth, and that's what they did. Anytime you go to a Christian, when I say Christian, I'm talking about Esaus Christianity, the devil's Christianity. The religion that vocab practices, which is the devil's, that's another term, hashtag the devil's Christianity, which is plantation Christianity. That's what they gave to the slaves. That's why these jakes are still bugged out in their brains. Here it is, 2018, the year of prophecy, and they're believing in some. And they follow this guy vocab. They're following this devil, this German, to lead away from the truth, to lead into error. And that's what vocab is doing. That's what Dr. James White is doing. That's what all these Christians are doing. And all these Negroes that were set up. I'm not even going to call you Israelites, that were set up to push this Renaissance slash plantation Christianity, the devil's Christianity, to lead away from the truth, to lead into error, to deceive, to be, and a lot of our people are going to accept that chip, because this devil is going to deceive them to accept that chip, to be led into error, and that's all this man did since he got over here, since day one, up until this point. All he managed to do was deceive you bird-brained Israelites to be led aside from the path of virtue, to go astray, sin. So what he did was a sin, or when he came over here and deceived these other tribes, was sin. He led them into sin. And who leads you into sin? The devil. To sever or fall away from the truth. And you got Negroes to this day that woke up to the fact that they were Israelites, and then went back and got back with the devil. Of heretics, to be led away into error and sin. Now I want to go to, let me go to the root of the word, which is plana, which means a wandering, a straying about, one led astray from the right way, roams hither and thither. And that's what the spiritual demon Satan did in Job, the first chapter, the first chapter. It says, mental straying, error, wrong opinion relative to morals or religion, error which shows itself in action, a wrong mode of acting, error, that which leads into error, deceit, or fraud. And that's what this devil is all about. Error, deceit, and fraud. And he's a liar. He's a lie personified. Now, one of the definitions of planao, which goes back to the word deceive, is to lead somebody into sin. Now, this is 1 John. 1 John 3. It says, and 4, whoso committeth sin transgresses also the law, for sin is a transgression of the law. And I'm going to read down. And ye know that he was, and ye know that he was manifested to take away our sin, which is our Lord, which he only came for the children of Israel or the nation of Israel, and in him is no sin. Whosoever abideth in him sinneth not. Whosoever sinneth hath not seen him, neither know him. Little children, talking to the Israelites, let no man deceive you. He that doeth righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. He that committeth sin, and that's what Christopher Columbus did, one of many devils, he that committeth sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of the Most High was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. So who's the devil? You so-called white people, you Edomites. And what is your part of your works? Well, one of your works is that you destroyed the earth, pursuant to Revelation 11 verse 18, and therefore you must be destroyed. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the actual story, article, read about this here devil Cristobal Colon, which is we found out he's a so-called Jew. It says how a blood moon eclipse spared Christopher Columbus from disaster on final voyage to New World. I should say to the New World. Let me read through this. Okay, this was put up October 2016. It says in 1492, Christopher Columbus made his infamous voyage across the Atlantic Ocean to the New World that set the stage for future voyages. However, his fourth and final voyage almost ended in disaster if it were not for the help of the moon. So here comes the deception. Over a decade after his first trip to the New World, Columbus set sail on his fourth and final voyage that was riddled with problems. His fleet in the 1502 voyage across the Atlantic was comprised of 4 ships, but not all of them made it to their intended destination. It says the 4 ships that he had were being eaten by worms that would eat the wood, so the ship started becoming unstable and leaking, said Mel Blake, associate professor of physics at the University of North Alabama. Later that year, Columbus and his crew landed on the island now known as Jamaica, with only two of his 4 ships. However, these 2 ships were damaged, so they were stranded on the island until relief arrived. At the time, Jamaica was inhabited by local people called the Arawak Indians, who decided to help Columbus and his men. They were showing him love. They were showing his devil love. They showed up with large ships and gust, and it all seemed very impressive, so the local people helped them, Blake said. Let me just read. Let me just go down. Okay, I'm skipping around. It says eventually the Arawak Indians refused. Well, he needed help from them, and they refused because they only had enough to sustain them, the Arawak Indians, which are the tribes. Eventually, the Arawak Indians refused to help Columbus, and in the beginning they helped him, but you can only help somebody so much, and his crew any longer. A decision that could spell disaster, as they were not equipped to survive on the island for an extended period of time. Christopher Columbus knew that he had no way of getting off of the beach because his ships were still leaking and he was waiting for relief. So he needed a way out. He decided to use blatant trickery, or demonry. That's a word I came up with. It says how a blood moon would come to Columbus' aid. It says back in the time of Columbus, they used astronomical charts to help navigate while out at sea. They also had astronomical almanacs that would entail positions of the moon, as well as events such as lunar eclipse. Columbus had a copy of an almanac that described a total lunar eclipse that would happen on the evening of February 29, 1504. This eclipse would be his opportunity to convince the local people to help him again. So he deceived the people. Okay, it says, goes on to say, 3 days before the eclipse, Columbus told the Arawak Indians that his God was very angry and that they were no longer helping him. As a repercussion, his God would turn off the moon until they decided to help him. And see, that's the devil, man. That's the devil for you. It goes on to say this may have sounded like a ridiculous claim to the local people, but 3 days later, Columbus' prediction began to unfold. It says the eclipse, the eclipse started happening, and the moon started to get a little nibble taken out of it as the Earth's shadow crossed the face of the moon. Blake said, it turned this blood red color the way a total lunar eclipse do. This terrified the locals. They promised to help Columbus again as long as he restored the moon back to normal. Shortly before the eclipse ended, Columbus announced that his God was pleased again, and that the moon would return to normal. Moments later, the eclipse was over. The moon appeared as it normally does in the night sky, and Columbus' trick or deception had worked perfectly. The locals would now supply him and his crew with food and supplies throughout the remainder of their stay until relief arrived. So now we don't know how many of these Israelites died because they gave up their food to this damn devil. And I'm gonna close, but anyway, in a couple more weeks, Christopher Columbus Day was the first week or whatever, the second week of October, something like that. Anyway, that Saturday, Most High willing, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai Ratzah will be out there, and we're gonna go in on you devils, which we do every year. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna say.